Atlanta's reality TV world has been rocked before, but nothing prepared fans for this. Jasmine Washington, the woman at the center of one of the most explosive storylines in love and hip-hop, Atlanta, has stepped forward with a claim that has shaken the entire fanbase. Her voice broke through the noise with one staggering accusation that Kirk Frost and his wife Rasheeda have been using her young son as a pawn in their never-ending drama. According to Jasmine, the Frost family has deliberately dragged her child into messy storylines just to keep ratings high and headlines buzzing. And the fallout from her words has left both supporters and critics stunned. Fans are calling it one of the boldest statements ever made in the history of the show. And the reactions have spread like wildfire across social media. Imagine this, a mother standing alone, her eyes filled with anger and pain, daring to take on not just Kirk but Rasheeda too. This isn't about fame anymore, Jasmine reportedly told those closest to her. This is about my child's life being turned into entertainment. Her words carried the weight of years of heartbreak, and fans are already speculating that this may be the breaking point that shatters the fragile balance within the cast. With whispers of behind-the-scenes manipulation and calculated exposure of her son, emotions have run high. The family is left divided. Alliances are beginning to fracture. And the question echoing everywhere is simple. How far will Kirk and Rasheeda go to protect their empire? And how far will Jasmine go to protect her child? From Instagram lives to leaked voice notes, this accusation has snowballed into a full-blown scandal that no one saw coming. Viewers are shocked, former castmates are weighing in, and the Frost family's carefully built image is crumbling under scrutiny. Stay tuned, because what began as a mother's outcry is quickly spiraling into a war that could change love and hip-hop forever. The cameras may have stopped rolling, but the storm outside the set was just beginning to gather. Jasmine Washington's words hung heavy in the air like smoke, impossible to ignore, impossible to erase. Fans were still replaying clips from her Instagram live, where her voice cracked with fury as she declared that Kirk and Rasheeda had not only wronged her, but dragged her young son into the chaos for the sake of show drama. Those watching said you could almost feel the weight of her pain, her trembling breath punctuating every sentence. It was more than gossip, more than scandal. It was a mother's cry, and it sent shockwaves through Atlanta. Social media lit up instantly. Hashtags like #JusticeForJas and #FrostExposed started trending within hours, while others rushed to defend Rasheeda, claiming Jasmine was just chasing relevance again. But underneath the noise was a sense of something roar. Something darker, like the Frost empire itself was teetering on the edge of collapse. Inside the Frost household, tension rose higher than ever. Rasheeda was said to be pacing the floor, scrolling through her phone as message after message flooded in. She had always been the one to present a polished front, the one fans called the boss chick for her resilience, but this was different. She's dragging my marriage, my family, and now saying we're exploiting her kid, Rasheeda reportedly muttered under her breath, her voice breaking. But Kirk, ever the strategist, was cold, almost detached. It's all noise, he told her, waving a hand like the accusations didn't matter. We don't feed into it, that's what she wants it. If we don't respond, it'll die down. Yet Rasheeda knew better. Nothing ever died down in their world. Everything grew, twisted, and erupted into something bigger. Jasmine wasn't backing down, and Rasheeda could feel it. Meanwhile, Jasmine wasn't alone. Friends close to her said she had been building up to this moment for months, holding back her rage until she could no longer keep silent. Every time I turned on that show, they had some slick way of making my baby part of their storyline, she told a confidant. They say his name, they hint at his paternity, they show old pictures. It's all to keep viewers talking. My son is not their prop, he's my child. Her words cracked through the drama like lightning, and suddenly, what seemed like another messy twist in the long Frost saga became something much more dangerous. A war between a mother and one of the most prominent couples in Atlanta's reality TV scene. In the days that followed, the ripple effects spread everywhere. Former castmates began chiming in. Carly Red, always one to stir the pot, went live and hinted that Jasmine might not be lying. Y'all don't even know half of what goes on behind the scenes, she teased, sipping from a wine glass with that familiar smirk. People use kids, family, secrets, whatever they got to stay relevant. It's sad, but it's true. The comments section exploded. Was Carly confirming Jasmine's story? Or was she simply fanning the flames for her own gain? Either way, the damage was done. The Frosts were officially in defense mode, whether they admitted it or not. Fans who had once rooted for Rasheeda and Kirk began to question their loyalty. On Twitter, one post went viral. Rasheeda fought so hard to keep that man after all the cheating scandals. And now she's letting him drag another woman's child into this. Disgusting. Another wrote, if this is true, they've lost all respect. Kids should be off limits. The Frost supporters clapped back, pointing out Jasmine's history of going public with her grievances whenever the spotlight started to fade. She does this every year when her name isn't being talked about. One wrote, convenient how it's always right when the season's heating up. But even those words couldn't silence the lingering unease. Something about Jasmine's tone this time felt different. It wasn't petty. It wasn't clout chasing. It sounded desperate, like a final straw. Behind closed doors, the arguments in the Frost household only grew louder. Rasheeda, torn between protecting her image and confronting the possibility that Jasmine's claims might actually stick, reportedly told Kirk, you keep acting like this is just another headline. But people believe her. And if they believe her, they'll turn on us. Do you understand that? Kirk leaned back, his jaw tight, but he said nothing. Silence had always been his defense, the wall he built around himself whenever scandal threatened to drown him. But this time, even his silence seemed heavy, almost guilty. Rasheeda could see it in his eyes, the worry, the fear that maybe Jasmine had more proof than anyone realized. And indeed, whispers began to spread that Jasmine was preparing to release receipts, screenshots, text messages, maybe even unseen footage from years past. Rumors swirled that she had recordings of private conversations where Kirk admitted to using the baby's story to boost his presence on the show. Whether those receipts were real or not didn't matter. What mattered was that fans believed they might exist. The suspense was enough to keep everyone glued to their screens, waiting for Jasmine's next move. If she drops those receipts, one blogger posted, it's over for Kirk and Rasheeda. Like, done. The pressure began to take its toll. Rasheeda, usually calm and composed, broke down in tears during a private dinner with close friends. I built my life, my business, my marriage, everything in front of these cameras, she admitted. And now it feels like it's all being ripped apart. I can't do this anymore. Her friends tried to comfort her, but the cracks were visible. The image of Rasheeda, the strong woman who always forgave, always kept her family together, was beginning to fracture in the eyes of fans who once idolized her resilience. They weren't seeing strength anymore. They were seeing weakness. A woman beaten down by scandal after scandal. Jasmine, on the other hand, was gaining strength from the chaos. Each supportive comment fueled her fire. Each article that quoted her words gave her more validation. This isn't just about me, she told her followers in another live session. This is about every single mother who's been silenced. Every woman who's been told to just deal with it. I'm not dealing with it anymore. They can't keep using my child's name to make money. That stops today. Her passion struck a chord with many, and soon she was being hailed as a kind of reluctant hero. A woman standing up to a power couple who had long controlled the narrative. The stage was set for confrontation, and Atlanta knew it. It wasn't just about Jasmine versus Kirk anymore. It was about Jasmine versus Rasheeda. Jasmine versus the love and hip-hop machine itself. Behind the glitz and the cameras, a very real war was brewing, one that threatened to pull in everyone connected to the Frosts. Friends, castmates, even business partners were suddenly forced to pick sides. And as whispers of a sit-down meeting between Jasmine and Rasheeda began to spread, fans couldn't look away. The anticipation was electric. Would they scream? Would they fight? Would years of bitterness finally explode into something no one could contain? Whatever happened next, one thing was certain. The game had changed forever. The Frost name, once a symbol of messy resilience, was now a target. And Jasmine Washington had made it clear she wasn't stepping back this time. She was ready to burn it all down if it meant saving her son from being a pawn in their never-ending cycle of drama. The rumors of a face-to-face between Jasmine and Rasheeda sent fans into a frenzy. And when word leaked that producers were quietly arranging a private meeting, the city buzzed like never before. Whispers spread through Atlanta salons, barbershops, and clubs. Jasmine was ready to confront Rasheeda on camera or off it, whichever came first. Bloggers speculated endlessly, dropping headlines like the showdown we've all been waiting for, and Rasheeda versus Jasmine, the final battle. What no one knew was that this wasn't just going to be another shouting match for ratings. This was personal, raw, and boiling over in ways no script could control. The night of the meeting, Rasheeda sat stiffly at a dimly lit restaurant tucked away in Buckhead. She had chosen the spot herself, thinking the quiet atmosphere would keep things from getting too messy, but her hands wouldn't stop trembling. She stirred her drink over and over, her reflection shaking in the glass. When Jasmine walked in, heads turned. She wasn't dressed for subtlety: tight jeans, a cropped jacket, her hair pulled high. She looked every bit like a woman on a mission. The moment their eyes locked, The tension cut through the room like a blade. "You really think you can keep dragging my baby into your story?" Jasmine's voice sliced through the silence. She didn't sit down right away, forcing Rasheeda to look up at her. "This ain't about ratings. This is about my child." Rasheeda inhaled sharply, then motioned for Jasmine to take the seat across from her. "First of all," she said carefully, her tone low but edged with fire, "nobody is dragging your son into anything. You're the one who keeps bringing this up, Jasmine. Every time we try to move past it, you bring it back. That's because y'all never stopped using him." Jasmine shot back, leaning forward, her eyes blazing. "Every storyline, every reunion, his name gets brought up. You think I don't hear it? You think you won't hear it one day? You turned my son into a storyline, Rasheeda, and I'm done being quiet about it." The argument grew sharper, voices rising enough for nearby diners to catch fragments. One whispered to another, "That's Rasheeda Frost and Jasmine Washington," pulling out their phone as if the moment might go viral before Desert even hit the table. Rasheeda felt her composure slipping. "You act like we sit around planning how to bring you up. That's not how it works. This is TV. People talk, producers twist things, and I can't control every word that gets said." Jasmine slammed her palm on the table, rattling the glasses. "Don't blame producers. Kirk sat there and played along. He let it happen. He let y'all cash checks off my pain. That's on both of you." For the first time, Rasheeda's mask cracked, her voice broke, almost pleading. "Do you think this hasn't hurt me? Do you think I wanted my marriage torn apart on national TV? I fought to keep my family together, Jasmine. I didn't ask for any of this." "You didn't ask, but you let it happen," Jasmine whispered, her anger softening into something colder, deadlier. "And while you were fighting to save your marriage, who was fighting for my son? Not you, not Kirk, just me." The silence that followed was unbearable, heavy with truths no one wanted to admit. Finally, Jasmine stood, her chair scraping against the floor. "This ends now," she said, her voice steady. "If I have to burn it all down to protect him, I will. Don't test me." She walked out, leaving Rasheeda trembling in her seat, fighting back tears. The diners who had witnessed it sat stunned, whispering in disbelief. A clip surfaced online within an hour, shaky and grainy but clear enough to capture Jasmine's parting words. Fans exploded. "She said she'll burn it down. Jasmine ain't playing." One tweet read. Another shouted, "Rasheeda's silence says it all. Guilty." At home, Kirk tried to brush it off when Rasheeda told him what happened. "She's bluffing. She don't got nothing on us," he said, but his tone betrayed him. Rasheeda could see the worry in his eyes, the way his hand tightened around his glass. "Do you?" she asked sharply. "Do you have something she could use?" Kirk looked away, and that was all the answer she needed. Rage boiled inside her. "You put us here, Kirk, you and your lies. If she drops anything, our whole world collapses." Meanwhile, Jasmine prepared her next move. She sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by old text messages. Printouts, screenshots of items she'd been saving for years. "I didn't want to do this," she murmured to herself, scrolling through the messages. "But if this is the only way to make them stop, then I have no choice." Her phone buzzed with messages of support, fans urging her to expose them and show the truth. She smiled faintly, a mix of pain and determination. "They thought I was weak," she whispered. "Now they're about to see how strong I really am." The Frost's empire was trembling. Rasheeda's boutiques, her music ventures, her image as the loyal wife, all of it rested on public perception. If Jasmine released those receipts, everything could come crashing down. And yet, Kirk seemed almost numb, resigned to the cycle of scandal. "It'll blow over," he said again, but his words had no conviction. Rasheeda knew better. This was no longer a storm they could ride out. This was a hurricane headed straight for their front door, and Jasmine Washington was steering it with precision. The city of Atlanta buzzed with anticipation. Every blogger, every gossip site, every fan was waiting for Jasmine's next move. Would she leak the texts? Would she go live again? Would she finally expose Kirk for admitting to using her son's name for show drama? The suspense was unbearable, and the Frosts knew it. The question wasn't if Jasmine would strike, it was when, and when she did, it promised to tear their world apart in ways no one could have imagined. By the time dawn broke over Atlanta, Jasmine's name was already splashed across every gossip blog in the city. The clip from the restaurant had gone viral overnight, replayed again and again with captions like "Jasmine drags Rasheeda and the Queen finally claps back." Fans debated endlessly in comment sections. Some called Jasmine brave, a mother standing up against two people who had treated her pain as a plot twist. Others accused her of stirring the pot for attention. pointing out that she always seemed to resurface when the spotlight threatened to fade. But Jasmine wasn't scrolling through the noise. She was too busy laying out her plan. A plan that she believed would finally force Kirk and Rasheeda to face the truth they had tried to bury. She gathered her evidence on the dining table: old messages, faded printouts, and audio clips saved on her phone. Some were years old, others more recent, but all of them painted a picture she had carried like a wound. In one recording, Kirk's voice could be heard, low and tense. "The show needs something real. If we don't give them heat, we don't get renewed. They keep asking about the kid, maybe we lean into it." The words weren't crystal clear, muffled by static, but they were damning enough. Jasmine listened to it again and again, her heart pounding harder each time. "This is it," she whispered. "This is how I show them I'm not lying." Meanwhile, at the Frost household, the atmosphere was toxic. Rasheeda had barely slept, pacing until the sun came up. Her phone buzzed nonstop with messages from fans, castmates, even business partners. Some urged her to speak out, others warned her to stay silent. But it was the silence from Kirk that cut deepest. He sat at the edge of their bed, staring at the floor, saying nothing. "So you really said that?" Rasheeda's voice was hoarse from crying. "You really sat there and told her producers could use her child?" Kirk rubbed his face with his hands, sighing heavily. "It wasn't like that," he muttered. "I was under pressure. They wanted something raw, something that would keep people watching. I didn't mean it like that." Rasheeda shook her head, her heart sinking. "Doesn't matter how you meant it. You said it, and now she's about to end us with it." Elsewhere, the rest of the cast began to take sides. Carly Red fueled the fire again, going live on Instagram with her infamous smirk. "Baby, let me tell you something," she said, swirling a glass of wine. "When it comes to these Frosts, nothing surprises me. You think they didn't know what they were doing? Please. They've been playing this game for years." Her comments section erupted, some praising her for keeping it real, others slamming her for being messy. Then Kay Michelle jumped into the conversation, posting a cryptic tweet: "Kids should never be used as collateral, period." Though she didn't mention names, everyone knew who she was talking about. It only added fuel to Jasmine's fire. Fans were shocked, but more than that, they were entertained. This was the kind of raw, unfiltered chaos they lived for. The kind of drama that blurred the lines between reality TV and real life. Blogs ran polls asking readers whether Jasmine should leak the receipts. Overwhelmingly, fans voted yes. "We need to see the truth," one commenter wrote. "If Kirk really said that, Rasheeda has no excuse for staying." Others begged Jasmine not to release them, arguing that it would only hurt her son more in the long run. But Jasmine was unmoved. "They hurt him every time they use his name," she said quietly to herself. "I'm not the one putting him in this mess. They are." Rasheeda tried to prepare for the worst. She called her publicist, strategizing possible statements, but nothing felt right. If she denied it, fans would demand proof. If she admitted it, her brand would crumble. She thought about her boutiques, her music, her image as the boss chick who always bounced back. Everything she had built was on the line. Late that afternoon, she broke down in front of her mother, Charlene. "Mama, I can't do this anymore," she sobbed. "Every time I try to move forward, something pulls me back. And now, if she leaks that recording, it's over. They'll never forgive us." Charlene, never one to mince words, pulled her close. "Baby, you should have left him years ago. You kept trying to save a man who kept sinking the ship. Now y'all both drowning." Kirk, for his part, retreated into himself. He avoided calls, ignored texts, and sat alone in his studio pretending to work. But the truth haunted him. He remembered the night that recording was made, the producer leaning in, telling him the season was flat and they needed something explosive. He remembered thinking that using the baby's story wasn't such a big deal, was just TV, after all. But now, with Jasmine threatening to release the proof, he realized the weight of what he had done. He hadn't just sold out Jasmine, he had sold out his own family's peace. As the hours ticked by, Jasmine prepared her final move. She scheduled an Instagram Live for 8 p.m., teasing her followers with a simple caption: "Tonight, the truth." The internet exploded. Blogs set countdowns, fans flooded timelines with speculation, and the Frost household went eerily quiet. Rasheeda sat in front of her vanity, staring at her reflection. Her mascara was smudged, her face pale. "If she plays that recording, I'm done," she whispered. Kirk leaned against the wall, arms crossed, but even he looked shaken. "Maybe she won't," he muttered, though his voice betrayed his doubt. At exactly 8 p.m., Jasmine appeared on screen. Her face was calm, almost too calm, her eyes locked on the camera. "I've been quiet for too long," she began. I let them paint me as crazy, bitter, desperate. But what I won't let them do is exploit my son. Not anymore. She held up her phone, scrolling through messages. I have proof that Kirk and Rasheeda knew what they were doing. They knew my baby's name was being used for storylines, and they didn't stop it. Then, with trembling hands, she pressed play on the recording. Kirk's voice filled the livestream. The show needs something real. If we don't give them heat, we don't get renewed. They keep asking about the kid, maybe we lean into it. The silence that followed was deafening. Viewers flooded the comments. Oh my God. He admitted it. They're done. Within minutes, the clip was being shared across every platform, dissected, replayed, and reposted. Some argued it was edited, others insisted it was real, but the damage was already done. Rasheeda's phone blew up with messages from castmates, reporters, even old friends asking if it was true. She collapsed into tears, clutching her chest, while Kirk sat stone-faced, knowing there was no spinning this one. Jasmine had finally done what no one thought possible. She had cornered them. The Frost Empire shook under the weight of that one recording. Fans turned, sponsors hesitated, and the cast of Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta prepared for the fallout. Jasmine sat back after ending the live, her body trembling but her spirit burning. It's done, she whispered. They can't hide anymore. The fallout from Jasmine's livestream was immediate, brutal, and unstoppable. Within minutes of the clip ending, blogs across the internet were already publishing headlines that read like the aftermath of a bomb. Kirk caught on tape. Rasheeda's empire in jeopardy after Jasmine's explosive receipt. The end of the Frost dynasty. The comments poured in faster than anyone could track. Fans who had once defended Rasheeda were now demanding accountability. And those who had doubted Jasmine were suddenly calling her a truth-teller. The recording, muffled as it was clear enough to devastate Kirk's reputation and drag Rasheeda's loyalty into question. Inside the Frost home, the air was so heavy it felt like it might suffocate them both. Rasheeda sat in silence on the couch, her face buried in her hands, the sound of the recording still echoing in her ears. The show needs something real. Maybe we lean into it. She replayed the words again and again in her mind, each repetition like a knife. It wasn't just what Kirk had said, it was what it revealed. That all those times she had defended him, all those moments she told fans to believe in her marriage, he had already compromised their family for the sake of fame. You said it, Kirk, Rasheeda finally whispered, her voice low and trembling. You actually said it. Kirk, pacing the room with his phone in his hand, didn't answer right away. His jaw clenched, his breathing shallow. It was years ago, he muttered finally. They were pressing me. They said the season was dead. I was under pressure. Rasheeda snapped her head up, her eyes burning with rage. Don't you dare put this on producers. You're supposed to protect this family. You're supposed to protect me. And instead, you handed them our lives like it was nothing. You let them turn us into clowns. The words hung between them, sharp and cutting. Kirk wanted to defend himself, wanted to tell her that he hadn't meant it the way it sounded. But even he knew there was no way to spin what the world had just heard. Jasmine had won the first battle, and the Frosts were left scrambling for survival. Meanwhile, Jasmine sat in her apartment, her phone buzzing nonstop with notifications. Fans flooded her with support. We believe you now. Expose them all, sis. Protect your baby at all costs. She leaned back in her chair, exhausted but relieved. For the first time in years, she felt like the truth was finally out. But she also knew it wasn't over. The Frosts would fight back. Kirk and Rasheeda weren't the type to go down without swinging. Still, Jasmine wasn't afraid anymore. They had their time, she said to herself. Now it's mine. The next morning, Atlanta woke up to chaos. News outlets covered the drama as if it were a political scandal, and fans dissected every second of Jasmine's livestream. Blogs compared her bravery to Rasheeda's silence, pointing out that the so-called boss chick hadn't addressed the issue publicly yet. Some claimed her silence was proof of guilt. Others speculated she was strategizing her response. Either way, the damage was clear. In the Frost household, Rasheeda refused to eat, refused to sleep, refused to look at her husband. Instead, she scrolled endlessly through the avalanche of comments, each one a dagger to her chest. She's complicit. She let him do it. She's just as guilty. The image she had fought so hard to maintain, the loyal wife, the successful entrepreneur, the strong woman who always rose above, was unraveling in real time. Finally, Rasheeda broke. She picked up her phone and dialed her mother again. Mama, I can't hold this together anymore, she said, her voice cracking. They hate me now. They're calling me weak, calling me fake. And maybe they're right. Maybe I've been lying to myself all these years. On the other end, Charlene didn't hold back. Baby, You've been trying to save a man who don't want to be saved. You sacrificed yourself for him, and now you're paying the price. You better decide if you want to drown with him or start swimming on your own." The words shook Rasheeda to her core. For years, she had defended her marriage, no matter how many times Kirk betrayed her. But now, with the world turning on them, she began to question whether holding on was even possible anymore. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast seized the moment. Carly Red, never one to miss an opportunity, went live again, practically gloating. "Didn't I tell y'all? Didn't I say there's always more behind the scenes?" Jasmine been holding on to that for years, and now she dropped it. "Baby, the Frosts are finished." Her smirk was plastered across every gossip blog within minutes. K. Michelle, too, decided to step in more directly. She tweeted, "Some people sell their soul for a storyline. But kids, nah, that's too far." Fans retweeted it thousands of times, framing her as Jasmine's ally in the battle. Suddenly, it wasn't just Jasmine versus the Frosts, it was Jasmine backed by voices from the cast, amplified by fans who had long grown tired of Kirk's antics. And then came Yandi Smith, chiming in from New York with her own thoughts. On a podcast appearance, she shook her head. "I don't know all the details, but I do know this: when you let TV dictate your life to the point that kids are being dragged in, you've lost your way. That's not entertainment, that's exploitation." Her comments sent shockwaves, because for years, the cast had silently tolerated the messy storylines. Now, it seemed like the tide was turning. As the walls closed in, Kirk finally tried to strategize. He called his manager, his PR team, anyone who might have a solution. "We need to deny it," he said firmly. "Say the recording's fake. Say it's edited." But Rasheeda cut him off, her voice icy. "You think people are that dumb? They heard your voice. They know it's you. Stop trying to lie your way out of this." Kirk slammed his phone on the table, frustration boiling over. "What do you want me to do, Rasheeda? Admit it. Say I sold out our family. That I used her kid. You think that'll save us?" "No," Rasheeda said quietly, "but maybe it'll save me, because right now, I'm the one they're dragging. Kirk, I'm the one they're calling fake. And I can't keep doing this." Her words hit him harder than Jasmine's recording ever could. For the first time, Kirk realized that Rasheeda might actually walk away. And if she did, everything he had built, his marriage, his brand, his place in love and hip-hop, would collapse completely. Back at Jasmine's apartment, she began to receive messages from unexpected places. Former producers reached out, quietly offering support. One even hinted that she wasn't the only one who had evidence. "You're not wrong about how they used your son," the producer texted. "A lot of us saw it. We were told to push it. If you need backup, I've got you." The idea that others might come forward gave Jasmine even more strength. She posted a cryptic message on Instagram. "The truth always comes out. And this is just the beginning." Fans erupted, speculating that she had even more dirt to drop. Suddenly, it wasn't just about Kirk's one recording, it was about what else might be hiding in the shadows. The pressure mounted until it felt unbearable. Rasheeda's boutiques reported a dip in sales, her brand partnerships hesitated, and fans flooded her business pages with angry comments. "We don't support child exploitation," one review read. Another simply said, "Shame." For Rasheeda, it was like watching her life's work unravel thread by thread. She finally confronted Kirk again late one night, her voice steady but filled with exhaustion. "I can't keep fighting your battles," she said. "If you don't take responsibility, if you don't own up to what you did, then I'm done. I'll walk away, Kirk, and I won't look back." Kirk tried to argue, tried to beg, but Rasheeda's eyes told him she meant it this time. For years, she had forgiven him, defended him, even humiliated herself on national TV to keep their family together. But now, she was at her breaking point, and Jasmine's voice, echoing through that recording, was the final straw. Meanwhile, Jasmine's support only grew stronger. Fans flooded her with praise, calling her a warrior, a truth-teller, a mother who refused to be silenced. Bloggers wrote think pieces about the exploitation of children in reality TV, pointing to her story as the prime example. The conversation had shifted from petty drama to something deeper, more damning. And as the Frosts scrambled to salvage what was left of their empire, Jasmine sat in her living room, rocking her son gently in her arms. "It's over now," she whispered to him. "They won't use you anymore." Mama made sure of that. But even as she said the words, she knew the war wasn't over. Kirk and Rasheeda weren't done fighting. And the producers behind Love and Hip Hop weren't about to let one scandal derail the empire they had built. The battle lines had been drawn, and everyone in Atlanta knew the real war was only beginning. The night after Jasmine's livestream felt like a funeral inside the Frost household. Kirk sat in the darkened living room with only the glow of his phone lighting his face. Rasheeda stood by the window, staring out into the Atlanta skyline, her mind replaying every moment of the last 24 hours. The comments, the blogs, the headlines, they all played on a loop inside her head. She had built her life on resilience, on surviving humiliation after humiliation, but this scandal felt different. It wasn't just about Kirk's infidelity this time. It was about a child, an innocent boy whose name had become collateral in their endless circus. Rasheeda finally turned to Kirk, her voice sharp but broken. "You've put me through so much. I stayed when you cheated, I stayed when you lied, I stayed when the world told me to leave. But this is too much, Kirk. This is not just between us anymore. This is about a child's life." Kirk clenched his jaw, trying to keep his voice calm. "It's TV. That's what people don't understand. Producers push, they manipulate, they edit things to make it look worse. You know how it works. Don't gaslight me," she snapped. "You said it yourself on that recording. Those were your words. Not the producers, not mine, yours. You sold out that child, and now you're trying to act like it's business as usual. You can't spin your way out of this one." Kirk slammed his phone down, his patience unraveling. "What do you want me to do? Huh? You want me to get on live and admit everything? You want me to hand Jasmine the victory she's been chasing for years?" Rasheeda's voice dropped to a whisper, steady and cold. "What I want is the truth. What I want is for you to stop pretending that everything you touch doesn't turn into poison. I want my life back." While the Frost marriage crumbled behind closed doors, Jasmine was reveling in a wave of public support she hadn't felt in years. Her DMs overflowed with messages from fans, bloggers, and even other reality TV stars who commended her for her courage. She scrolled through them late at night, her son asleep in the next room, and for the first time, she didn't feel like she was screaming into a void. People were listening now. People believed her. On Twitter, her name trended for 3 days straight. Hashtags like #JusticeForJasmine and #ProtectOurKids dominated the timeline. Clips of her live racked up millions of views on TikTok, with users lip-syncing her words about fighting for her son. The tide had turned in her favor, and Jasmine was determined to keep the momentum going. During another live, she sat in front of her ring light, her tone calm but firm. "I never wanted to be in this position," she said. "I never wanted my personal life to become entertainment. But when you mess with my child, you've crossed a line. I stayed quiet for too long, and they thought that meant they could keep walking all over me. But not anymore. I won't let anyone, Kirk, Rasheeda, producers, nobody use my son's name again." Her followers filled the chat with heart emojis and messages of encouragement. "We got your back. Stay strong, Queen. Don't let them silence you." But Jasmine wasn't done yet. She teased that she had more receipts to drop, messages, emails, maybe even contracts that tied the Frosts and producers directly to decisions that exploited her child. The threat alone sent shockwaves through the industry. If she really had the paperwork, it wouldn't just end Kirk and Rasheeda's credibility, it could put the entire franchise under fire. Producers scrambled in damage control mode, meetings were held in quiet hotel conference rooms, lawyers were consulted, and frantic calls were made to Kirk and Rasheeda. "We need you both to hold it together," one producer begged over the phone. "This is bad press, but bad press can still get ratings if we control the narrative. Just don't let Jasmine dictate the story." But controlling the narrative was impossible now. The power was out of their hands. Jasmine had flipped the script, and the world was watching her, not them. Back in Atlanta, Rasheeda's businesses began to feel the hit. Boutiques that once had loyal customers now faced boycotts. Reviews flooded her pages. "How can you claim to be a boss chick when you exploit kids? Shame on you, Rasheeda." Sales dipped, and her staff whispered nervously behind the counters. The empire she had fought to build was unraveling before her eyes, and she knew it was all tied to Kirk's choices. The tension between them exploded one night at home. "You ruined everything," Rasheeda shouted, tears streaming down her face. "My name, my business, my legacy. All because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. All because you thought using a child was just TV." Kirk tried to argue, but his voice faltered. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought it would blow over like everything else. I didn't think she'd actually come after us this hard." "You didn't think," Rasheeda snapped. "That's the problem. You never think. And now I'm the one paying for your mistakes." The fight ended with Rasheeda slamming the bedroom door, leaving Kirk alone in the living room, his head in his hands. Jasmine, meanwhile, was gaining allies. K. Michelle reached out privately, offering her support. "I know what it's like to be silenced," she told Jasmine. "If you need me, I'll stand with you." The possibility of Jasmine teaming up with other cast members made the Frost situation even more precarious. By the end of the week, rumors swirled that Jasmine had been invited to sit down for an exclusive interview on a major platform. Fans speculated she might use it to reveal even more dirt, maybe even play additional recordings that would bury Kirk and Rasheeda for good. The anticipation was electric. Fans counted down the days, gossip blogs teased updates, and the Frosts grew more desperate. Rasheeda begged Kirk to come clean, to admit his mistakes before Jasmine aired them out even worse. But Kirk remained stubborn. If we admit it, we're done. If we deny it, at least we've got a fighting chance. Rasheeda shook her head, her voice hollow. We're already done. You just don't want to see it. Outside their crumbling marriage, Jasmine's star rose brighter. What began as an accusation had turned into a movement, a rallying cry against exploitation in reality TV. She became the face of a conversation that reached beyond Atlanta, beyond love and hip-hop, sparking debates on national platforms. And yet, even as she gained power, Jasmine knew the battle wasn't over. The Frosts wouldn't go quietly. They never did. And deep down, she braced herself for the next wave of attacks. Because she knew Kirk well enough to understand he wouldn't stay silent forever. The war had only just begun, and Atlanta was ready for round 2. The interview was announced on a Monday morning, and by noon Atlanta was buzzing like a hive that had been struck with a stick. Jasmine Washington would sit down for an exclusive one-on-one. No interruptions. No producers cutting scenes. No castmates to drown her out. Just her, the camera, and the truth she'd been carrying for years. Blogs blasted the news in giant letters. Jasmine speaks at last, and the Frosts can't hide anymore. Fans immediately marked their calendars, and within hours, the clip teasing the interview hit social media. Jasmine's face appeared in a dimly lit studio, her eyes heavy but defiant, her voice steady. I stayed quiet long enough. Now I'm telling everything. The Frost household was in chaos the second the teaser dropped. Rasheeda threw her phone on the couch, her voice trembling with fury. She's going to destroy us, Kirk. Do you even realize that she's about to drag your name, my name, our kids, everybody, on national TV? Kirk tried to stay calm, but his shoulders betrayed his tension. We don't even know what she's going to say yet. It could just be her repeating the same stuff from her live. Rasheeda snapped her head toward him, her voice cutting like glass. You think people are tuning in for a repeat? She's got more. Kirk, I can feel it. And when she drops it, it won't just be you drowning, it'll be me too. Everything I've built, gone. My boutiques, my brand, my name, gone. The silence after her words was suffocating. Kirk looked down, and for the first time, he didn't try to deny it. When the day of the interview came, the internet felt like it had stopped. Thousands of viewers tuned in live, fans typing comments before Jasmine even opened her mouth. She walked onto the set in a sleek black outfit, her hair perfectly styled, her expression unreadable. But the moment she sat down, the pain in her eyes told the story. The interviewer leaned forward. Jasmine, you've made serious accusations against Kirk and Rasheeda Frost, claiming they used your son as a pawn in their storyline. You released a recording of Kirk's voice that shocked fans everywhere. Tonight, you've promised to reveal even more. Why now? Jasmine took a breath, steadying herself. Because I've been living in the shadows of their drama for too long. Every time they needed a storyline, they dragged my name, and worse, they dragged my child. I kept quiet because I thought maybe it would die down, but it never did. I realized silence only made it worse. So tonight, I'm breaking that silence. The interviewer nodded, letting the tension build. What exactly do you have to share? Jasmine reached into her purse and pulled out a small stack of papers. Contracts, she said. Emails. Proof that producers and Kirk agreed to use my son as part of their storyline. They thought no one would ever see this, but I kept everything, and I'm done hiding it. The studio fell silent as she held the papers up. The interviewer's eyes widened. Are you saying Kirk Frost knowingly signed off on this? Yes, Jasmine said firmly. He signed off on it. He knew. And Rasheeda knew too. Social media exploded instantly. Clips of her holding the contracts flooded Twitter and Instagram. Fans screaming in all caps. They're finished. Jasmine came with receipts. Game over for the Frosts. The Frosts' names trended worldwide. The scandal breaking beyond Atlanta into national entertainment news. Back at the Frost home, Rasheeda collapsed onto the couch, tears streaming down her face. I can't do this anymore, she whispered. Every time I fight for us, it's like the universe throws another bomb at me. And now it's not just cheating or lies. Now it's paperwork. Proof, we can't survive this. Kirk sat across from her, his face pale, his body frozen. "They won't believe her," he muttered, but even he didn't sound convinced. Rasheeda turned to him, her voice raw. "She's got contracts, Kirk. Your signature. How do you explain that away? How do I explain that away? I defended you. I defended us. And now I look like the biggest fool in Atlanta." Their argument grew louder, their words sharper, until even their children overheard the shouting. The family, once already fragile, began to splinter under the weight of the scandal. While the frosts unraveled, Jasmine's star soared. Overnight, she was invited onto podcasts, panels, and talk shows. People who had once called her bitter now praised her as a truth-teller. One popular blogger wrote, "Jasmine Washington did what no one thought possible. She cracked the Frost dynasty wide open." But Jasmine's rise came with its own price. Paparazzi camped outside her apartment, reporters chased her down in parking lots, and strangers felt entitled to her story. She tried to shield her son from the chaos, but whispers followed them everywhere. One afternoon, as she picked him up from school, another parent muttered, "That's the boy they used for TV." Jasmine's heart clenched. She had fought this battle to protect him, but she realized the scars of this fight might follow him anyway. Still, she refused to back down. In another live, she looked straight into the camera and said, "If speaking my truth makes people uncomfortable, so be it. I'd rather be hated for protecting my child than loved for staying silent." Fans flooded the chat with praise, and the war lines grew clearer. Atlanta was divided. Half the city rallied behind Jasmine, while the other half clung to Rasheeda, praying she could rise from the ashes once more. Producers of Love and Hip Hop saw the chaos and smelled opportunity. They reached out to both sides, whispering about a possible televised sit-down between Jasmine, Kirk, and Rasheeda. "The world wants to see this," one producer said. "Imagine the ratings." Rasheeda nearly laughed when she heard the offer. "You want me to sit down with the woman who's tearing my life apart? You think I'm gonna let y'all profit off my pain one more time?" But Kirk, ever the opportunist, considered it. "Maybe it's the only way to spin this. If we show the world we're willing to face her, maybe they'll start to forgive." Rasheeda glared at him, her voice shaking with rage. "Forgive? Kirk, this isn't about forgiveness anymore. This is about survival. And right now, I don't know if I can survive with you." The words hung in the air, final and devastating. Kirk realized then that Jasmine's war wasn't just threatening his public image, it was threatening the very foundation of his marriage. And for the first time in years, he felt truly powerless. Outside their crumbling home, the city waited, hungry for the next chapter. Fans refreshed their timelines, bloggers drafted new headlines, and Jasmine sharpened her knives for whatever came next. The war was no longer about one recording or one interview. It was about the destruction of an empire, the fall of a dynasty, and the rise of a woman who refused to be silenced. And Atlanta was watching every second. The offer for a televised sit-down hung in the air like smoke from a fire that wouldn't burn out. Jasmine had already been contacted privately. Producers promised her the spotlight, promised that her side would be heard without interruption, and dangled a fat paycheck to sweeten the deal. But Jasmine wasn't driven by money this time. She was driven by fury, by the years she felt silenced while Kirk and Rasheeda spun her pain into entertainment. Still, she knew that facing them head-on with cameras rolling would be the ultimate strike. She sat at her kitchen table, scrolling through the producer's email while her son played with his toys in the next room. Her best friend leaned against the counter, watching her. "Girl, if you do this, there's no going back," the friend warned. "They'll throw everything at you. They'll cry. They'll deny. They'll flip the script like they always do." Jasmine's jaw tightened. "And I'll be ready. Let them try. This time, the world already knows the truth. All I have to do is stand there and not let them drown me out." Meanwhile, Rasheeda wrestled with the decision like it was a death sentence. She wanted nothing more than to hide, to protect what little dignity she had left, but hiding wasn't an option anymore. Every blog post, every news article, every podcast mentioned her silence like it was proof of guilt. Shirlene didn't mince words when she visited. "Baby, if you don't face this, she'll keep winning. You gotta fight for yourself, fight for your kids. Don't let Jasmine take everything from you." Rasheeda buried her face in her hands. "Mama, I'm so tired. I'm tired of fighting for a marriage that's been breaking me for years. I'm tired of standing by a man who doesn't care how much I hurt. And now I'm the villain in a story I didn't even write." Shirlene gripped her daughter's shoulders, looking her dead in the eyes. "Then rewrite it. You walk in there, you look her in the face, and you tell your truth. Not Kirk's truth, not the producer's truth, yours." Kirk, however, saw the sit-down as a chance to save himself. "This is our shot," he told Rasheeda, pacing the living room. We go in, we stay calm. We don't let her rattle us. People will see us as the bigger ones. It's all about perception. Rasheeda stared at him with disgust. Perception. Kirk. People heard you. They saw your signature. This isn't about perception anymore. It's about reality. And the reality is, you put us here. The day of the sit-down arrived, and Atlanta buzzed like it was waiting for a heavyweight fight. Fans filled timelines with predictions. Jasmine's gonna eat them alive. Rasheeda better come with something strong. Kirk's gonna sit there looking guilty like always. Hashtags trended worldwide before the cameras even started rolling. The set was simple. 3 chairs in a circle, dim lighting, a moderator seated nearby. Jasmine walked in first, her heels clicking against the floor, her face calm but her eyes blazing. Rasheeda entered next, dressed in muted tones, her body stiff with tension. Kirk followed behind, trying to project confidence but looking uneasy. The 3 of them sat down, the silence heavy enough to cut with a knife. The moderator broke it. Thank you all for being here tonight. The world has watched this story unfold for years, but in recent weeks, the accusations have reached a boiling point. Jasmine, you've accused Kirk and Rasheeda of exploiting your son for show drama. You've released recordings, contracts, receipts. Tonight, we're here to confront those accusations directly. Jasmine leaned forward, her voice steady. This isn't just an accusation, it's the truth. Kirk knew, Rasheeda knew, and for years, they let my son's name be used like a prop. I've had to explain to a little boy why strangers know his name. Why people whisper about him. Do you know how much that hurts? Do you? Rasheeda's eyes filled with tears, her voice trembling. Jasmine, I never wanted that. I never wanted your son dragged into this. I've fought every season to keep my family together, to keep things off the table. I admit I should have done more, but don't sit here and act like I was plotting against your child. I was trying to survive my own pain. Jasmine's tone sharpened. Survive your pain? What about mine? What about his? While you were patching up your marriage, I was raising a child alone while y'all let the world debate his existence for ratings. You think survival is just yours? No, Rasheeda. I survived too, and I'm done being silent about it. The moderator turned to Kirk. Kirk, the recording of your voice saying maybe we lean into it shocked fans everywhere. Do you deny that was you? Kirk shifted uncomfortably, his jaw tight. It was me, but it was years ago. I was under pressure. The show was on the line. Producers push you, they corner you, and I said something I regret. But let's be real, this is TV. People don't always understand the world we live in. Jasmine cut him off. Don't you dare hide behind producers. You said it because you wanted to keep your check. You didn't care who it hurt. And the worst part, you didn't even care what it did to your wife. You let her stand by you while you made deals behind her back. Pathetic. Rasheeda closed her eyes, the truth of Jasmine's words hitting her like a hammer. Kirk's face hardened, his pride wounded. You think you're so innocent, he snapped. You went along with it at first. You wanted to be on the show. You wanted the attention. Don't act like you weren't part of it. Jasmine's voice dropped, deadly calm. I wanted the truth about you to come out. I didn't want my son dragged into it. Don't twist this. The audience watching from home exploded on social media. Jasmine dragging Kirk to his face. Rasheeda looks broken. This is history. Clips spread within minutes. The tension of the sit-down capturing everyone's attention. As the confrontation continued, Rasheeda finally broke her silence fully. She turned to Kirk, her voice raw, shaking. You've humiliated me more times than I can count. I stayed because I thought our family was worth it. But watching that clip, hearing your voice, seeing those contracts, I realized I've been defending a man who doesn't even defend me. I can't do this anymore, Kirk. I can't. The room went silent. Kirk's face froze, his mouth opening but no words coming out. Jasmine stared at Rasheeda, shocked by the rawness of her confession. The moderator leaned in, sensing the moment. Rasheeda, are you saying what fans think you're saying? Rasheeda wiped her tears, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm saying I'm done. I'm saying this marriage can't survive what he's done. Not to me, not to her, and not to that child. The internet exploded instantly. Rasheeda finally leaves Kirk. It's over for the Frosts. The sit-down became the most viral moment in the history of the franchise. Clips replayed across every platform. Backstage, Jasmine stood tall, her head high. For years she had been painted as the villain, but now she had shifted the entire narrative. The Frosts' empire crumbled live on camera, and she walked away with the final word. Atlanta would never be the same. Listen closely, because after everything you've just heard, this story is far from over. Jasmine Washington has shaken the ground under Kirk and Rasheeda Frost, and the fallout has left fans divided, alliances shattered, and a dynasty on the brink of collapse. We've seen explosive accusations, viral recordings, contracts waived in front of cameras, and a marriage torn apart in real time. Emotions have run high, voices have cracked, and the world of love and hip-hop Atlanta has been flipped upside down like never before. But here's the question that still lingers in the air. What happens next? Does Jasmine keep pressing forward, dropping more receipts until there's nothing left of the Frost's empire? Does Rasheeda finally walk away from the man she's defended for years, reclaiming her life and her dignity? Or will Kirk somehow pull another trick from his bag, manipulating the story one last time to claw back control? You've watched every tear, every outburst, every shocking twist unfold, and now it's your turn to weigh in. Because the truth is, none of this survives without Youth fans, the people who have followed this saga for years. You've rooted for Rasheeda's strength, you've questioned Kirk's loyalty, and you've debated Jasmine's motives. And now, with the truth out in the open, we want to hear from you more than ever. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you on? Are you standing with Jasmine, applauding her for protecting her child and finally taking a stand against the Frosts? Or are you still riding with Rasheeda, the woman who's endured humiliation after humiliation but refuses to break completely? Maybe you even believe Kirk still has a side of the story we haven't heard yet. Let us know, because your voice shapes how this story is remembered. And if you've been hooked from the very first word, if you couldn't look away from the drama, the betrayal, the heartbreak, then you already know what to do. Hit that like button right now, and let the world know you were here when the truth broke wide open. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter. Because trust me, this war isn't over, and the next twist could drop any moment. Turn on your notifications so you're the first to hear when Jasmine speaks again, when Rasheeda makes her next move, or when Kirk finally breaks his silence. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, your timeline, anyone who needs to know that reality TV just got more real than ever. Every share spreads the word, every comment fuels the fire, and every like pushes this story higher until the whole world is watching. So now, it's in your hands. The drama has been laid bare, the receipts have been shown, and the truth has cut deeper than anyone imagined. The Frost Empire stands on shaky ground. Jasmine has risen as a voice for every mother who's ever been silenced. And Rasheeda faces the choice of her life: keep fighting for a marriage built on cracks, or finally step into her own power. The ending hasn't been written yet, and you, yes, you are part of deciding how it all unfolds. So don't just watch, engage, react, speak your truth in the comments. Because if there's one thing this story has proven, it's that silence only feeds the lies. And right now, the world is waiting to hear from you. So what are you waiting for? Like, comment, subscribe, and join us as we follow every messy, emotional, jaw-dropping twist of this saga. Because in Atlanta, the drama never ends, and neither does the truth. Alright y'all, take a deep breath because that was a roller coaster. And trust me, the ride is nowhere near over. We just witnessed Jasmine Washington step into her power and accuse Kirk and Rasheeda Frost of using her son as nothing more than a pawn in their reality show game. We saw tears, we saw receipts, we saw a marriage wobble on its last leg, and we felt the weight of every single word. Fans are shocked, the family is divided, and the city of Atlanta may never recover from what just unfolded. But here's where you come in. Whose side are you standing on tonight? Are you with Jasmine, the mother who says she's fighting for her child and finally calling out the Frosts for years of manipulation? Or are you still standing by Rasheeda, the woman who has fought to keep her family together despite betrayal after betrayal? And what about Kirk? Do you believe he still has something to say that could turn this entire story on its head? Or is this the final chapter for him? The drama is heavy, the emotions are real, and the fallout is just beginning. I want you to drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Don't hold back, say exactly what you feel, because your voices matter. Every opinion adds fuel to the fire, and this conversation is far from finished. If you were glued to this story the way I know you were, hit that like button right now and let's get this video out to even more people who need to see the truth. Subscribe to the channel and make sure those notifications are on because you don't want to miss what's coming next. Jasmine isn't done, Rasheeda isn't done, and Kirk, well, Kirk never stays quiet for long. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, and everyone who lives for the mess, because this isn't just a story, it's history unfolding in real time. Atlanta's biggest scandal is playing out right before our eyes, and you don't want to be the one who missed the next twist. So what do you think? Is Jasmine the hero of this saga, finally exposing the truth? Is Rasheeda about to walk away from Kirk for good? Or is Kirk going to find some way to flip the script yet again? The battle lines are drawn, The world is watching, and now it's your turn to sound off. Like, comment, subscribe, because this storm is just getting started, and you don't want to be left behind when the next bomb drops.